Hello, welcome to the Coaxum Report. I'm Terry Coaxum, and today we are going to be talking with Dr. Zalima Blair. She's the chair of public administration at Medgar Evers College, and I'm extremely delighted to share today with her. We're going to be talking about some various best practices and big ideas with our small business, and I'm looking forward to having a robust conversation. So welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is on the Marketplace, powered by Callaloo Network, and it's also on WSTX Bloomberg. You can find us on Fire TV, Android, Apple, and Roku. So make sure you're joining us each week for some nuggets on how to grow your business, how to increase your finances, and all of the wonderful things that we'll be sharing on the Coaxum Report. Hello, Dr. Blair. How are you?
Hello, I am well, and thank you for having me on this exciting show.
Awesome. So, Dr. Blair, this is the Coaxum Report. Each week we get on and we talk to our small businesses about some of the barriers, the best practices, and big ideas. You are an educator, and I dare say my boss over at CUNY. You're the chair of public administration. And so you have a bird's eye view of our students and the economy and things that we can do to kind of help our students along to help and grow those that are starting small business, those that are already in business. So what are some of the nuggets that you can share on the show today? You are on the Marketplace, the Coaxum Report. Tell us a little bit about yourself and some nuggets you want to share today.
Well, there are many people who want to start small businesses or, become entrepreneurs, etc., and getting to the business of hiring people and being local or working close to home or in their communities. But they don't know how to get started. I think
Right.
that's the biggest hurdle, right? Getting started. The second biggest challenge for them is the cash flow issue. Where do they get the capital from to start these big ideas? And most of the time it's minority and women businesses that have this, because when you cannot find a job, most people start looking for a job. You can't find a job. The only thing you can do is hire yourself or create a job. And so those are the things that lead to small businesses development and then the growth of the economy. So I think we have to help people start these businesses, help implement these practices. I'm a big proponent of implementation and doing. No, you know, so
The capital. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is the number one barrier. Whatever show we're on, Dr. Blair, when we bring on even our small business, that's the number one barrier for them: access to capital, making sure they have access to capital. And so, you are in a space where you're educating our young people. And so, what are some of the things some of your network that you're using to kind of help them along the way? Because that is number one. You just hit it right on the head: access to capital. How do you think that we can improve access to capital, especially for our Black and brown business?
well, the first thing is that I feel like all the other colleges and universities, all the state university systems, et cetera, they have opened up their campuses to these small business networks and
Right.
these small business development funds. And at Medgar Evers College, I think that's needed because, again, we're the largest Black population and we're in central Brooklyn, yet and Brooklyn College is an extension, right? It's in Flatbush, it's in Brooklyn, but they have, the small business centers, et cetera. But Medgar Evers College does not. We sort of freelance. We want to do as much as possible to help communities, but we do not have these federally funded assistance centers. So I think the federal government could pour more money into these areas that are desolate, if you will, in terms of business practices and business development and business incubation. I think that's one. I think where they lack these opportunities or these placements, because there is a politics of place, and I tell my students that all the time. I think the state or New York City Small Business Services could partner with the institution more to be that go-to facility to host these business education workshops. And I think, yeah, most of the time they take advantage of the libraries with workforce development, et cetera. But many people, you have to figure, what are the anchor institutions? What are some of the other anchor institutions? And most of the time they're educational institutions. And so because we're the only college here, I would believe that we should be a fair place for people to locate this assistance.
Awesome. So one of the things that you just brought up is the network and the partnerships, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's extremely, I think it's key when we're talking to our small business today on the Coaxum Report that we are encouraging them to be a part of these partnerships. One of the things is that Medgar Evers is in a historical Black college, right? And it's located in the heart of Brooklyn. And it's named after Medgar Evers, which makes it a huge deal here in Brooklyn. And so having these partnerships, having the federal government, not just the federal government, the city government, because you spoke about small business services, and this is in any of the communities that you're in. If you're able to bring in, if you have an anchor institution, as Dr. Blair said, like Medgar Evers, and you're able to bring in your city resources, you're able to bring in your federal resources, you'll have a more robust program geared toward helping our students to not just to start business, to business. And one of the main things that we talk about, especially in these institutions, is that technical support. We had Senator Kevin Parker on a couple of segments back, Dr. Blair, and he said, just because you know how to make furniture don't mean you should run a furniture business, right? Just because you can bake cookies don't mean you should be a baker, right? But you have these, if you have these partnerships in place, which is the one that you're mentioning with the federal government, whether it's in the Caribbean or here in the States, you'll be able to do more for your students and by your students. So that's an excellent example of how we can partner better. So, and the barrier, of course, being access to capital, going back to that. So the technical support is huge. And that's what we can get at our institution level, right? So we can get that by partnering. We can also get access to capital by partnering, public-private partnerships. You've done a phenomenal job at Medgar Evers with making sure that we are going after different dollars to help our students. You've been able to partner with different public-private partnerships and bringing the industry leaders into the public administration program. And so I want to commend you for that. And so, we talked about the technical support. We talked about partnerships. We talked about, this is a lot. We've already talked about the first 10 minutes of the show. So what are some of the other things that you think that we can be doing better, and not just at our college at Medgar Evers for our small business, but what are some of the things that you think that we can do better as an institution and as a group that's helping our business? Because the small business is the engine. We need to continue to drive this engine, especially in this economy.
Yeah, I think the neighborhood banks could be doing a bit more. They could be the mentors that the small businesses need. They can also offer, it doesn't have to be, government creates the environment, right? But it doesn't have to be all on government. I think our neighborhood banks, they're like this hidden place. They're there, but people go in there, but they don't really come out into the community, right? And so we need our neighborhood banks to do a little bit more education and a little bit more mentoring, so they can also offer, because this financial assistance is a mystery. Right?
Yeah, it's a big.
Many people are intimidated by financial institutions.
Right.
Right. They feel that they have to be able to look the part, dress the part, et cetera, before they even enter this banking institution. So I think the banking institution could step outside the dome a little bit, if you will, and sort of look for these partnerships and sort of help out small business. Because if the money is not running inside the local communities, then the banks can't exist.
Absolutely. So what I hear you saying is that we should be encouraging our banks that are in our community, whether they're our banks, because we have our credit unions in our communities, our CDFIs, encouraging them to come to take it to the streets, right? And encouraging them to come out to small business, come to, the Merchants Association, the community boards, the precinct community council, come to these different meetings and let the small business know that you exist and you're here for them. So that is a great suggestion, Dr. Blair, having the banks come take it to the streets. And also, I think another part of that is, in addition to having them come out and do these financial workshops, I think we should also encourage them to talk about the products and programs that we have. So we're going to take a quick 10-minute, we're going to take a quick break. We're at our break period. We're going to quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about these financial institutions and how they can do more to help our small business, because again, this is our engine and we're continuing to drive our engine. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dr. Blair.
Thank you.
I'm Charles Meriday, and I'm in the restaurant business. In my 20 years as a chef and restaurant owner, I've been able to work and eat in some of the great kitchens around the globe. There's a whole side of the restaurant that most people will never get to see. So now, I want to take you to the back of the house, into kitchens of some of the best chefs in the world. Along the way, I'll share some of my own tips and recipes so you can cook like a pro too. So join me in the back of the house for a whole new perspective on cooking and food. Order in. Roger. Serve it, please. I'm glad that you came, please.
Dr. Blair, welcome back. So it has truly been a pretty robust conversation already, Dr. Blair. You have
a lot of nuggets that you've already shared with the listening audience. This is the Coaxum Report, and
Mm-hmm.
we are powered by the Callaloo Network. We're on the marketplace, and we're also WSTX Bloomberg. And you can find us on Fire TV. You can find us on Android. You can find us on Apple TV. So hopefully you'll be able to pull up our nuggets that we are sharing today. So we're on with the chair of the Public Administration Department at Medgar Evers College, CUNY Historical Black College here in the heart of Brooklyn. And so Dr. Blair has been sharing a little bit about some of the nuggets for small business. So she talked about access to capital being one of the top barriers, and we talk about that often. And one of the things Dr. Blair was sharing is that we need to get our community banks. They're a hidden jewel. She used the example that you go inside and then they don't come outside, and so she's encouraging our community banks to actually come outside and see what's in the community. Come to Merchants Association meetings. Let us know about their products. One of the things that I think is really important is, we talked about finance being a mystery, right? I think it's important for our community banks to do some of these workshops, and even if they're doing them online, I think it's important for them to do some of the trainings and the workshops. We're at tax season now, Dr. Blair, so I think it's really important. So whether you're here in the States or you're in the Caribbean, I'm encouraging you to actively engage your community banks. And so Dr. Blair, I want to talk a little bit about your background, because I just jumped straight in because I knew we were going to have a robust conversation and wanted to kind of get some nuggets to the listening audience. But you have actually a PhD as well as a JD. And of course, you're the chair of the department. So for the listening audience, especially those small business, what would be some of the things that you would say to kind of encourage them to keep moving forward? Because going having all of these degrees, I'm sure that there were some times that you wanted to pause, right? But that was not an option. And so we like to give motivation and tips to our listening audience. So talk to me a little bit about some encouraging and inspirational words that we can give our listening audience today here in the Caribbean and also here in the States, especially our small business and our students, which you engage on a regular basis.
I know that many times we take the word mentorship for granted. Get a mentor, right? Get a mentor. But I'm going to actually say get a few mentors. And usually you have them in different areas. You have one for your personal life, because that could be a hindrance. You have one for your business life or your professional life, and anything else, maybe your children, maybe social activities, a lot of different things, or civic activities, political activities. So I'm going to say get a few mentors. And most people will ask, because then that's the other stumbling block. So I know I need a mentor, at least one, and maybe three, but how do I get these mentors? And usually it's word of mouth. We don't have to look online. Sometimes it could be a family member. If you weren't the first one to graduate from college in your family, maybe talk to the one who was the first one to graduate. And if you are the first one to talk, it doesn't have to be about education. It could be a sister, it could be your mother. And we need to start taking these advice well. It could be a spiritual advisor, someone you met in church, or if you're a business owner, it can be someone right there on that commercial strip. And maybe you find that partnering with that business helps you to stay in business.
That's right.
Maybe you offer the cleaning service and they offer the food service. Maybe you need someone to deliver straws, napkins. So, we sort of limit our thinking and ourselves and, how we survive. But just go back to those deep survival skill sets. And usually they are transferable and transformative. So that's what I would say to one thing. Don't just rely on one person, because you don't want to burn one person out. But That's easy to do, right?
Exactly.
I have a few for different sectors of your life, and we find that they crisscross as well.
And you know what? I'm gonna add to that because I
Mhm,
always say because we're mentors, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
we're mentors on a daily basis. Sometimes, our students will, ask us to be their
mhm,
mentors. And so I'm
mhm,
saying to the listening audience, especially our small business owners, don't be afraid to ask for what you need, right?
mhm,
Because
mhm.
a closed mouth don't get fed, right? So I'm
Right, right.
encouraging you if you find someone with a skill set that you are looking to develop more of. I'm
Mhm,
encouraging you to ask for what you.
mhm,
One of the other things about mentorship, I always say that you need three things. In addition to a mentor, you need a mentor that knows the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? That
mhm,
person
mhm,
is going to advocate
mhm,
for you regardless, right? You need
mhm,
a mentor that only know the good. That person's going to
mhm,
be at the table and they're
mhm,
going to bring you up and make sure that you
mhm,
have your business straight. They're going to
mhm,
make sure
mhm,
that you have the resources
mhm,
that you need, right? And then
mhm.
there's going to be that person that's going to be your sponsor because everything can't be free, right? So you need someone
Right,
who's able to write a check in your life as well.
right,
And
right.
so I encourage you, in addition to getting mentors, is also to get a sponsor, to make sure that you have that one person in your life that can
Mhm,
write a check at that if you need to attend that conference, right? If you
mhm,
need to attend another class, if you need to purchase something to take your business to the next level, make sure that we're using sponsors. And this is really a unique show, Dr. Blair, because
yeah.
um, we've had the opportunity to talk to a regulator. We've had the opportunity to talk to my former boss, the chief advocate for small business,
Mhm,
SBA, and he talked a little bit about the regulation and some of the resources available. And now we're talking to an educator. So
mhm,
we're taking this to the next level with our small business owners, making them understand and helping them to understand that they need all these components to be successful.
mhm.
And so you're encouraging them to get mentors, encouraging them also to get a sponsor. And the other thing I'm going to encourage them to do is pour into your business. Invest in your business. I think that's really important, Dr. Blair.
Yeah, it is important, but I also want whether you're the owner of the small business or you work in a small business, hoping to aspire to develop your own small business. One of the things you want to do is develop an organization chart, and
Mm,
it doesn't have to be a big bureaucracy, right? But it's a chart to say you're just a one person shop right now. Here's where I want to see it grow to, and these are the people that I want to grow underneath me, or these are the employees that I hope to employ. These are the people or the positions I hope to employ and retain one day. So develop an organization chart, see where you are on that chart and try to move it. Hopefully you're at the top already, but that you are developing branches underneath you to, expand your business. And so if you can visualize this and see, you start to work towards it. So
that's right.
having that vision as well, and through an organization chart, it's not just you in the organization chart keep trying to climb and hitting the glass ceiling, et cetera, but it's you actually building this chart out now
Mhm.
in that small business owner capacity. So
So what I
also,
hear you saying is have a vision and make it
mhm,
plain, right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
writing down your vision. If you can't see it, then
hmm
you can't do it. So what I hear you
hmm
saying to the small business that are listening here on the Caribbean and here in
hmm
the mainland is to make sure that you understand where you're going, right?
hmm
And reach for the moon.
hmm
I always tell people why
hmm
just put your foot on the stars when you can
hmm
reach past the stars and touch the moon.
hmm
So
hmm
you're saying have an organizational chart, you know,
hmm
understand where you're going, understand that you want to grow your business in this way, and then
hmm
work towards that. And I think
hmm
that's really important for our small business
hmm
to understand. So you've given a couple of nuggets today, Dr. Blake. So our businesses that they should have a mentor, and I added that we should also have a sponsor. You
Yeah.
said that the financial institutions need to take it to the streets, so they need to come out and let the business know the kind of
hmm
product services that they have available
hmm
to them
hmm
and the system to get to the next level. And now we're talking about having a chart, having a vision for your business. And I think that's really, really important that, a lot of the big business you see, they have a mission statement. They have
Yep.
a vision statement, right?
Yep.
And so what you're saying is, even as a small business, you can have a mission statement and a vision statement. And I think that's extremely important,
hmm
especially in the economy that we're living in now. Things have changed so much since COVID. We're
hmm
no longer just doing business here in the city. We can do business across the country.
Anywhere,
Across
anywhere,
the country. So having that vision for where you're going to sell your widget, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to where are you going to have your service at? I think that's extremely
Yeah.
important. Dr. Blair, I want to thank you for sharing that information with us. And so we've given quite a few nuggets to our small business. The other one, going back to being an educator, is that technical support.
Yeah.
Understanding you need the technical support, and having
Mhm.
that vision, that organizational chart, will
Mhm.
help you understand what some of your SWOT analysis, right? Your strengths, your
Mhm.
weaknesses, your
Mhm.
opportunities, and your threats. I think
Mhm.
that's really
Mhm.
important for our small business. So thank you so much for sharing that. For those that have just tuned in, this is the Coaxum Report, and we are powered by the Marketplace Callaloo Network. You can find us on Apple TV, on Roku. You can find us on Fire TV. We're part of WS2X Bloomberg, and it is truly a pleasure to be speaking to a top educator here in New York City, the chair of the Public Administration Department at Medgar Rivers College, Dr. Zalima Blair. And not only does she have a PhD, but she also has a JD, and she has a heart and passion for our students and making sure that our, business, the economy is fueled and they're growing and encouraging on all different levels, not just as a mentor, as an educator, and also, making sure that there are public-private partnerships that she's bringing to bear through her resources. So talk to me about network. Talk to me about network. We talk about partnership, and partnerships are important, but sometimes you have to have that network in order to
That's
be
right.
able to bring those partnerships together. So for small businesses that are listening to us today, what are some of the things that you would encourage them to do to to increase their network, to so that they can get the services that they need? We talked about bartering, right? You said, if
Mhm.
you need a cleaning service and I have, say, a car service, and we can barter.
Mhm.
I'll drive the car for you, and
Mhm.
you can clean for me until we get to that next level.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're
Okay.
gonna come back and we're gonna talk about that. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you,
Thank
Dr. Blair.
you. Sure.
Time. It has a different meaning in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It goes backwards, forwards, it stops. St. Croix is rooted in history. So much of it still remains untouched.
I remember running on these streets as a kid. This shop was right down there. It opened the same year I was born. This is where the original Crucian hook was born. It's the symbol of these islands. And I wanted to have my hands in that very same history. I want to be able to pass it down to my family while still putting a new spin on it.
The U.S. Virgin Islands, we have an amazing culture that developed over time from all over the world.
St. John feels so untouched. Being underwater is like another world. There's no worries, there's no stress. I can just escape. This is my happy place. My passion for scuba diving came at just being fascinated with the water and wanting to be a mermaid. And this is the closest thing I can get to achieving mermaid status. Canadians just love being outdoorsy. We live for adventure, so we love anything hiking, being on the water, diving, snorkeling, and St. John has it all.
It's like some spirit is protecting the island and keeping them raw. The Makujumbi watches over the island. From up there, they keep the evil spirits away. nightlife in St. Thomas is absolutely amazing. There's always something going on. Everyone comes together to dance and catch a vibe. We're always celebrating. We celebrate freedom, culture, the food, the smell, the music. It's always a celebration. The people here are probably the most priceless thing because they keep the culture going. There's so many different influences on these islands. Food from all kind of countries coming together in new dishes. All of us came from somewhere, but all that we call this home. The VI is a new melting pot. This is where the past and the future comes together.
Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. So on the Coaxum Report, this is a part of our TV network. We are powered by Callaloo, Tempo. You can find us on WSTX, Bloomberg Financial. And it is truly a pleasure today. We are on the Coaxum Report with Dr. Zalima Blair. She is an educator out of Medgar Evers College. She's the chair of our public administration program. And she's been sharing a lot of great nuggets on the line today. We've talked about access to capital being one of the top barriers for our small business. And Dr. Zalima Blair suggested that our financial institutions get a little more involved and take it to the streets, come outside and, educate the community and the small businesses about their products. We also talked about partnerships, partnering with whether it's your state or your local government, your municipalities, and bringing the resources into the college campuses and making sure that we have the technical support and the training for small businesses that are looking to take it to the next level. Dr. Blair also spoke to us about mentorship, making sure that we have mentors in place to help us to build and grow our business. Some people have already, been where you are, and so you can share the benefit of that experience. And so she talked about that. And I also added sponsorship because everything can't be free. So you always need someone in your life that can also write a check. And then we ended up, before we went on our commercial break, we started talking about networking. We started talking about one of the key nuggets that I use, and even in my business, Coaxum Connects, it's really fueled by connecting you because relationships matter. And so whether those relationships are as in the educational institutions that Dr. Blair spoke about, or whether they're in the government, which is something that we will also talk about when we talk about government contracting as a point up for access of capital and building your wealth. So Dr. Blair, what would be some of those relationships, some of those networks that you use and that you would encourage our students and our small businesses, whether they're in the municipalities here, in the states, in the city, what would you encourage them how to build and grow their network so they can use it better?
Well, I think people should always join their trade networks. Whatever field that they're in, they should always, if it's restaurants, they should always do that. If it's, whatever it is, they should join their trade networks and try to go to some of those conferences that exist in those communities. And you can find a lot of local ones. If you're into beer and wine, there's always a beer and wine festival at Barclays Center, right? There's always food festivals. Get out and try new ideas. Upgrade your skill sets. That's what going to trade shows and conferences are about. Updating your skill sets and keeping with the time. The other thing about networking and those skill sets, many people, you'll be surprised, don't even have a business card.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, and especially new startups, right? When you're thinking about costs, et cetera, even though those are on the cheaper side of starting a business or assets to have when you're starting a business. Many people are usually just thinking of the space, et cetera, and that's like a deferment. I'll get that later. You know, I'll. It's like the website, right? I'll build that out later.
Right.
I'll worry about that later. But that your business card, your resume. Many people don't update their resume. You know, many of us are guilty of that. Post that online. That is a gateway also to networking. Posted it on LinkedIn, etc. So
I'm going to add to that, Dr. Blair. In addition to having having your presence online where you're posting it on LinkedIn, I'm going to add to that your capability statement. What are you able to do? I encourage small businesses, in addition to having their very basic business card, right, is to have their capability statement and to have your NAICS code, which is your North Atlantic code on the services that you're able to offer. And when you're into government contracting, you're looking in government contracting, they're looking for your NAICS code. They're looking for your codes to be able to do business with you. So I'll encourage you, Dr. Blair said, make sure the basics, right? Keep it to the basics, making sure you have your business card. One of the other things is really basic as well. I've gotten emails from small business looking to do business with me, and they don't even have a letterhead. Like, they're sending me, something that is very generic, asking me to do business with them. But again, back to before we came to break, invest in your business, invest
right.
in your business card.
Right.
And whether it's an electronic business card, because we can do that now, where you put your phones together, or whether it's a physical business card, invest in your in your business card, invest in your capability statement, invest in your business plan. That's a part of that vision Dr. Blair talked about, right? In order for you to know where you're going, you need to one, know where you are as far as your financials and your projections, right? And then you can project where you're going. So whether it is that organizational chart that Dr. Blair spoke about, she's saying, okay, so if you see where you are now, and you understand where you want to be at, if you have this chart in place, then you can get there. You have a roadmap for getting there. And so Dr. Blair is saying, okay, you got to have your business card. That's the basics. I'm saying make sure you have your letterhead. If you're serious about business, invest in your business. Have your capability statement. Dr. Blair said you need to list your qualities and the things that you're able to do and your past experience through your resume. Go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a perfect place. Dr. Blair, you know how many people tell me that they found me on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm going to say is also develop your brand.
Yes.
Not just because you're all in the same business. What is your niche? What is your brand? And market that brand. So many of our Black businesses are in the healthcare field and the social services field, but it doesn't mean that you all are offering the same things, right? So some people offer that culture, and that's what we have to go to. We have to go to our culture. What is your culture, and what is it that you're offering to that community? Central Brooklyn, heavily Caribbean community, Crown Heights community, etc. What is it that you're offering in that healthcare field that Caribbean people need to take advantage of, that aging in place properly, for example, or gracefully? So it's different things that you do or that you need to do to sell your brand, and people will gravitate towards that because that's the engagement piece, right? That's the attraction piece. And also what's key in networking is having your elevator pitch, right? I don't know if you still call it that, right? But what are some of your superficial conversations? Because some people say, oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, I'm a shy. I'm this, I'm that, right? Okay, well, but you do have good listening skills and you do know how to speak back to people. So what are some of those superficial things that you can always talk about that could engage people and keep them there to listen to your next steps, right? You just don't start heavy.
And what I'll say is invest in that too. Invest in communication. Invest in some books on communication. YouTube University. I always tell people I went to YouTube University. Go to YouTube University. See what's out there as far as helping you to develop that pitch, especially, and be intentional. I always tell small business, if they're going to these conferences, if they're going to these NWBE summits, which is a Minority Women-Owned Business Enterprise Summit, where you're looking to do business with government, I tell them, be intentional about the conversations that you're having. So when you get to that event, understand, back to that vision, Dr. Blair, that you talked about, understand what the vision is. Okay. So I want to do this much business with government this year. I want to have $1 million contract with government this year. I'm going to invest in these conferences. This is a company, I want to do it with the Department of Transportation. I want to have the contracting relationship with Department of Education, like whatever that is. If, like Dr. Blair say, you write it down and make it plain, make sure it's a vision for you, and you'll know how to get there. Then you'll start looking, like Dr. Blair say, when you're looking at networking, you're looking at the industry leaders. So the MB, if you have a business administration degree, look for the business administration clubs, look for the business administration groups. There's a lot of meetups in our different municipalities that you can go to. And you'll be very surprised. If you're into technology, there's a tech conference, right? There's a tech meetup, right? If you're into, contracting with government, there's something about that as well. And so what I will encourage the listeners today that's listening to the Coaxum Report to do is to do your research, to go to our another famous thing is searching on Google, right? Do a quick Google search on what's going on in your neighborhood, right? Be a part of the meetup, right?
Yeah.
If you're part of the college and the university, be a part of the student government, right? Be
That's
a part of the business associations that's in the college. If you're in public administration, be a part of the public administration group. Your business, be a part of business administration group. Technology, the same thing. This is all expanding and growing your network to that next level. So, Dr. Blair, I want to thank you for sharing. Like, you're giving us a whole bunch of nuggets, but you also gave us a mouthful here when you said, build your brand and market.
Yeah.
So I have to say, before COVID, a lot of small businesses didn't think it was important to market.
Mm-hmm.
However, after COVID, when they realized that they had to shut down the brick and mortar business, and they needed to have a quote unquote plan, a vision, right, a chart, a space to a trajectory, they realized they needed to market their business. They needed to market their skill set. Some of the business even said that they had to go back and get additional skills to be able to develop that niche market, right? So what makes your business unique? And I think that all of these things are key components to helping small business, a Black and brown business, to help small business grow. And so I encourage all of you that are listening today, I hope you got your pens and your paper out and you've taken all these nuggets down, because Dr. Blair is giving it to us quickly. And I'll try to do a recap, but I encourage you to make sure that you are investing in yourself, your skill set, and your business. And what she said when we began this conversation is making sure you do the bare minimum and then do the rest. Like, have your business card. Again, whether it's electronic or physical, have your business card. I'm saying have your capability statement. If you're looking to do business with another group, and you're going to this meetup, Dr. Blair encourage you to be a part of these networks. You're going to this meetup, be intentional about it. Have your skill set. Here is what I can do, and have that conversation with individuals. Here's my business model. Here's what I'm looking to do, and have your business plan. Your business plan, your marketing plan, and branding. Those are all key components to helping your business to grow. So thank you so much for sharing those nuggets with us, Dr. Blair. We're going to take a quick break in a few minutes, Dr. Blair. But before we break, so you gave us a lot as it related to networking, and in networking, you said you got a brand, and then you said you also have to, you also have to market your business. And so we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about, we talked about your branding and niche market. I want to talk a little bit more about actually marketing your business. Like, what are some of the tools and tips that we give small businesses that are listening today on how to market your business better, especially in this climate? Thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Every great song has its own kind of vibe, just like the streets they come from.
Now all that music from across America will go head to head
on one stage. Every state and territory will compete live for your votes.
in the biggest televised music event you've ever seen.
America's next great hit
could come from your hometown. Let's go!
American Song Contest premieres live March 21st on NBC.
Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum. We are powered by Callaloo Network. This is our TV. And so we are part of, we also sponsored by WSTX Bloomberg. You can find us on Fire TV. You can find us on Android. You can also find us on Roku. And so encouraging you to go back and visit and get some of our nuggets and tips that we're sharing today with our small business. And so before we went on break, we were talking a little bit about marketing, right? And so we talked about a few things today. We talked about our technology, making sure that educational institutions are in place to help our businesses grow through the technological support. We talked about having partnerships with government agencies, public-private partnerships, organizations in our community. We talked about access to capital and having our financial institutions take it to the streets, so to speak, come out and let our small businesses know some of the services that are available. And we also talked about networking, and in networking, making sure that we are going to our industry leaders and part of our conferences and our meetups and meeting individuals and being very intentional about these relationships. We talked about the basics. Dr. Blair took us back to the basics. When you are at these networking opportunities, make sure you have a business card, whether it's an electronic business card or whether it's a physical business card. Make sure you have the capability statement. Let individuals know what you are able to do on that next level. And of course, we started talking about both branding, having your niche market, and then marketing. And so we ended with Dr. Blair talking to us a little bit about marketing. So what are some of the quick tips? It's funny how time flies when we have fun, Dr. Blair. We only have 2 more minutes to share some nuggets about marketing, but wanted to get that in there. So what are some of the things that you would say to our small business when we're thinking about marketing our business to take it to that next level, in addition to using social media?
Word of mouth is the best way.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is the best way. And I know I live in Prospect, Lefferts Gardens, and we have like a group on Facebook where if you need a plumber, you need whatever, they go right to that group chat and says, could anyone recommend right there? Okay. So ask, if you're a business owner, ask your friends to refer you. You think about how people get a lawyer or a doctor. It's always a referral, right?
Right. You're absolutely right. No matter how much technology.
Always the way. Of course, Facebook and Instagram, of course, those things are effective.
TikTok,
social media is effective. Having your buzzwords for Google ads, those are effective. We know, but people have a lot of mistrust these days. With the supply chain off and all these different services and people trying to make money, people are very distrustful. So word of mouth and the referral business is the best way. The other thing I would say is, again, going back to that engagement piece, engage the community. Think about your prices. One of the things that people do in the community is they decrease their prices on certain days, right? And market to the community to introduce themselves to the community. Think about having events from your business to tell the community what your business is about and how it's beneficial for them. Also, I think the government can help create that environment. Especially if there is a business that's really needed to help that community grow or to build up that community in terms of community building and economic development, then the government could actually, or small business services, whatever, could actually throw out ways that, hey, we need this business along this business strip, and then that becomes a go-to business as well. So it's a two-way, it's multiple partners in this, in the ways your business is marketing.
So what I hear you saying as we are coming to an end is know your audience, like have your value proposition, right? When you're looking to market your business, know your audience, have your value proposition, be a part of these groups that are in your community, making sure that we are, because word of mouth is still number one, right? You can have the best media platform, the best website, but there's still going to be an individual that enjoyed your service, and whether it's going to be a rating, because the word of mouth can also be a rating. I know when I'm trying to find a cleaning service or different businesses, I'll look online and see what the rating is for that business. And that's word of mouth. That's some individuals saying, listen, I enjoyed this service or I didn't enjoy the service. And that makes a decision in that service. So know your audience, have your value proposition. What is your objective? Know your customer, understand your product. I think that that's really key. If you are a small business owner and I say to you, what type of business you have, you started this off and we're going to end with this. Have your elevator pitch. Be ready to sell your business, right? Understand what your business and your market is. And I think all of these things are important to helping our business grow. And so, Dr. Blair, I've had a huge pleasure today having you on the show. This has been an extreme pleasure to me. I thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report and sharing all these nuggets. You started off with a bang when you started talking about technology and getting our educational institutions involved in expanding and growing our business through technology, making sure that we have these partnerships with our government agencies and our businesses. You started talking about some of the barriers, access to capital. Finance, making sure that the financial institutions are taking it to the streets, all good things. You talked about networking. You talked about having a mentor. You gave a lot of great nuggets today. And so I want you to have one closing remark before we leave. What would you like to leave with our business, to help them expand and grow? Because they're the engine. What would you like to leave with us?
Well, going back to the organization chart, and when you think about the different positions that you should have, know how much that position is going to cost. This way you don't run out of capital hiring that person, right? Just know and make sure that the position is beneficial for both the individual you hire and for yourself. It has to be a good fit.
Value added.
Has to have growth opportunities for both, or else it's not going to work out. And they could help with your marketing as well, because it'll be the best place they worked at, right? It's a good environment.
Great, great. So this has been a Coaxum Report. I want to thank you again, Dr. Blair, for being a part of this. Dr. Blair is an educator at Medgar Evers College. She is the chair of our public administration department. And I thank you so much for sharing these tools, tips, and nuggets. This is the Coaxum Report on our TV. It's powered by Callaloo, Tempo, WSTX Financial, Bloomberg Financial. So thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report. And I look forward to having you join us again next week.
Thank you for having me.